Hello, manga and anime lovers. I'm Branch, and today I'm going to be talking about Dandadan, episode 12. I was right, this episode ended on a cliffhanger. In fact, not even so much as a cliffhanger, as this episode didn't seem to be the end of a season, which I guess makes sense, because it's kind of the end of the first core, not really the end of the first season, and then the summer will pick up right where we left off. But still, that was quite an abrupt ending, and it wasn't even an ending. It was just like what's going on? And then next episode. I feel like before they went to Gigi's house would have been a better cliffhanger for the next part of the season, but it won't really matter once it's all released and you rewatch it. But really, to go over the episode as a whole, it was really in three, I guess, distinct parts. The first one being the whole aftermath with the what's it called? An anatomy model? From the school, who was running last episode to find his long-lost love, or I guess actually probably not long-lost, probably just recently thrown away by the dumpster. And we finally got a nice conclusion at the start of this episode where the ISAs take his wife in, or his girlfriend, or whatever, his lover in, and he goes to visit her every single night, running throughout the entire town, as he usually does, at 100% power. And it was very nice and wholesome and heartwarming. And I wonder if it has anything to do with anything. Maybe it's thematically relevant going forward. I guess we'll find out. Okunun is now I was going to say a changed man, but not really. He's just way more forward now than he was before because he realizes that he loves Momo. The unfortunate thing is that he's not very good at it. He's trying to compete with Gigi on Gigi's turf, whereas he really doesn't have to because Momo already likes him for who he is. He doesn't have to try and emulate Gigi and be like a playboy type of guy. And I think he realizes that toward the end of the episode when he becomes more friendly with Gigi, especially on the train ride, when he's trying to, I guess, compete on his own turf, like I was saying, with aliens instead of whatever Gigi is doing. But instead, he winds up being friends with Gigi because Gigi finds everything cool, which again, I still don't think everything with Gigi is completely as it seems. There has to be a reason he's so often insincere. Not in a bad way, but he never really shows his sincere emotions on his face. He's always over the top and putting on a facade, it seems. And though I think that is, like I said last time, that is part of his true self, it's also not his whole self. And as we saw in his breakdown last episode where he couldn't sleep thinking of the spirit, I think there's a lot more to Gigi than meets the eye. Speaking of there being more to things than meets the eye, Gigi's town is cursed. His entire town is insane. Everyone there looks weird, acts weird. They might be aliens, probably not. They might also just be possessed people or some kind of yokai, like a conglomerate or something. I don't know, but we're heading into some horror film territory. I can't remember what films are like this because I haven't seen many, but you know the kind of film I'm talking about where someone goes to a small town and the town's really dangerous even though it seems nice on the surface. Although this town doesn't even seem nice on the surface with these dudes going in to attack girls in the bath. Just ugh. But I do have to say that although the entire town is very eerie, Gigi's house is the worst of it all. There is just a super liminal quality about it, how it's so pristine and perfect in the middle of the forest, it seems. And there's not a single speck of dust anywhere until they break through the wall and they see that this entire secret room was kept sealed off. And my guess is maybe this is where the spirit is? I don't think so. I think the spirit is actually haunting Gigi and not the house, but I could be wrong. Regardless, I'm super curious about how Gigi's character in particular is going to play out, and we haven't even seen the ghost yet, who probably has my favorite design of all the creatures so far. He just has that perfect creepy design while being super minimalist, although we haven't seen him in the flesh yet, or I guess in person, because it's just been kind of in a flashback in Gigi's perspective. But I really want to see what he looks like. I'm also curious to see how Gigi and Okunun's and Momo's relationship will end up at the end of all this. I mean, we know Momo and Okunun are going to end up together because they're just smitten with each other, whereas Gigi is kind of flirty with everybody, so I don't think he really loves Momo. And Aida, she likes Okunun very superficially, so I don't think that'll last very long. I feel like her and Gigi are either going to get along really well or going to clash super hard like oil and water. He'll either compliment her and validate her superiority complex, or she'll see him as being flashier than her and see him as a rival. I don't know. Either way, it'll be really entertaining. But I guess I should give a little bit of thoughts on the series as a whole up to this point, since there's going to be a bit of a break till the next core. And I gotta say, it's fantastic. What can I say? I can't praise the animation, art style, sound design, vocals, everything about this is top-notch. Sure, a couple of episodes weren't the highest of quality animation, but still, the art style never flinched at all. And when it really counted, they went all out, higher than movie style, really. And speaking of style, this show has style, all right. Not just in the art style itself, but in the way everything, the way the characters move, the vibes of the show. Sometimes it's really creepy and bad. Sometimes it's really creepy and good. Sometimes it's really wholesome and fun and relaxing. It can be literally anything. And as a fan of One Piece, I like shows that can be any genre that the author puts his mind to. So I'm really loving this show. It's really, it's just really good. I would say it reminds me of JoJo's, but it's actually not really, aside from superficially flamboyant. It really is its own thing, but it reminds me of the best parts of every type of genre that I've watched so far, and I'm really digging it. Also, despite having probably an absurd amount of quasi-nudity compared to most other shows, it is surprisingly not as not as lewd, I guess you could say. Like something like One Piece, for example. Most of the scenes in there are made just to be, if you see One Piece, you know. Whereas every scene in this show basically serves the plot and things going forward. There's not a lot of, I don't even know how to put it, but I don't even notice it, to be honest, sometimes, aside from the more than I notice anything else. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, in other words. And the characters are so good. The way everything plays out between different characters and their relationships, and even each character individually is really strong. They have multiple parts of their personalities. You can tell what they care about and what they don't care about, what they like and what they dislike, what they'll do in most situations. And sometimes they surprise you because you didn't know the character as well as you thought you did. Even the yokai are really good. A lot of them are multifaceted. At this point, we have 2 good yokai. We have 1 good yokai, 1 good alien. And we have 1 yokai that was kind of in between. And of course, Turbo Granny is actually really bad, but is slightly sympathetic and also really fun. Really, the only 2-dimensional bad guys are Seropians or whatever they're called. The main alien bad guys. They're kind of like, whatever. But I'm sure we'll learn more about them as we go on. They seem to be doing something, trying to assimilate some kind of superpower or weapon or something like that to invade Earth with, at least according to Okunun's theory. And I think there's some merit to that. But really, the star of the show is the characters learning how to be better friends and have better relationships with each other. And especially with Momo and Okunun, we can see this throughout every episode as their relationship constantly goes up and down, and they learn more about each other and how to interact with each other more. And they grow closer, and their feelings grow, I guess you say, wider and deeper and all kinds of things. And how they learn to communicate and get past hurdles in their friendship and soon-to-be relationship, I'm sure. I mean, I say soon, but probably in 1 or 2 seasons. I can't see this show putting it off too long, although I could be wrong. It's just everything's so good in this show. Everything is top-notch quality. The pacing is probably one of the most impressive things about it, because you would think it's super fast breakneck, but it's actually not. Despite the plot, especially at the beginning, happening really quickly, it actually feels almost a little slow, but not in the bad way, in a really good way, where you have time to relax and enjoy the characters, and you're not constantly exhausted with action and go, 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 like other anime, Jujutsu Kaisen. But yeah, overall, really top quality series. Probably, I would say, if I'm being generous, a 10 out of 10. I don't give shows 10 out of 10s usually because they have to be basically flawless. I don't even give One Piece a 10 out of 10 because that anime is wonderful and a terrible adaptation of the manga. But I would say, if I was to be nice, I would give it a 10 out of 10. To be real, no show's perfect, but this show is basically as good as you can get. That being said, that's really all I have to say on this episode and the first core. I really hope I see you when the next one comes out. I'll be reviewing those episodes then too. Until then, hope to see you in another video of mine. Bye.